We're going to talk about the political stuff because that is very interesting to me. And I feel like a lot of gamers out there are looking for this information. So let's talk about it. So if you guys are unaware, there's been a recent revelation, and thank you guys for telling me about it yesterday so that I had the ability to look into it and really kind of deep dive as much as I could within one day. Obviously, I can't look at it all in one day, but I tried my best to get as much as I possibly could. But this is a huge story that some people are talking about and some people aren't for some reason. I don't know why. But it has come to the revelation thanks to Doge, right? Obviously, if you guys don't know what Doge is, it's the new team that was made from Elon Musk that is basically auditing the entire federal government, essentially. That's basically what it seems to be happening. It's been revealed that Politico, and if you guys don't know who Politico is or are or whatever, Politico is a left-leaning news outlet, right? That runs all kinds of smear pieces, propaganda, all kinds of nonsense, right? So Politico took apparently $8 million in U.S. aid money, taxpayer money, while also apparently writing articles that would smear Gamergate back in the day, which was happening a lot, by the way. And see, this is why Gamergate 2 is completely different from Gamergate 1, because as I've told you guys so many times, Gamergate 2 is operating in a totally different field. Gamergate 2 is operating in a field where information is flowing freely. Gamergate 1 operated in a field where the urinalists hold every single card and you have nothing, right? Where Twitter was being censored, everybody was being suppressed, people were being banned, canceled, all kinds of shit. It is a completely different field. So now you can see why that was. Politico took $8 million of taxpayer money to not only smear Gamergate, but do a whole bunch of anti-Trump, anti-all that shit. They did that nonstop, right? So apparently they wrote about 22 articles, and we're going to get into it. 22 articles of anti-Gamergate nonsense. Yamato says, so they won Gamergate 1? Yes, they did. They did. The mainstream gaming journalists 100% won Gamergate 1. There's no doubt about it. And it's due to some unfortunate circumstances, but that's really what it was. So let's talk about this. So it turns out that Politico, the left-leaning news outlet that has long smeared the Gamergate and the gaming community, was receiving millions in taxpayer dollars. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, I don't know how to say her name, announced Wednesday that the outlet was no longer receive federal funding after revelations that it took more than $8 million through U.S. aid and other government contracts. So before we go into the rest, can I just play this video? This video is absolutely hilarious. You want to talk about a own? You want to talk about a own? Hold on. We're gonna talk about a own. Give me 1 second. Let me bring it up on screen. This is the funniest shit that I've seen in a while. Not only does she reveal and announce everything that we're about to talk about right now, but the funny fact is that Politico is in the room as she's announcing it, which is hilarious. They're in the room as she's announcing it, and she even calls them out and says, hey, shout out to you. You're not going to get funding anymore. This is a beautiful thing. Hold on. Watch this. Is the volume up? Here we go.
So upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than $8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The Doge team is working on canceling those payments now. Again,
oh my God, the felting is insane. Oh my God. And it's so true. This is why all of these websites that a lot of people wonder, how the hell do they operate? How are they still open? How are they still doing these things when they're clearly not making money? Well, it's because they're being subsidized by governmental organizations. I'll give you another example. Do you guys know what Pink News is? Do you guys know what Pink News is? You should probably know what Pink News is, right? It's a hardcore feminist leftist outlet that does nothing but smear anything remotely not woke. So Pink News is a corporation, a website, I should say, that does not make any money whatsoever. It is an absolute trash website. It has barely any ad revenue. It is garbage. But do you want to know the reason why Pink News is still around to this day and why it will continue to be around? It's because Pink News is funded by Australian investors. Pink News is funded by Australian investors. I believe they're private investors, but it's funded by Australian investors. They have millions of dollars funding into that website over a few years, and that is the reason why they are still around. Otherwise, they would not be around. They're being subsidized. Their entire existence is being subsidized by somebody with a lot of money, right? So it's very similar. Obviously, it's not governmental, but it's very similar, right? Even with, for example, even with video games, right? We know of certain video games that are governmentally funded. What's the most obvious one? Well, that's going to be Dustborn, right? Dustborn was governmentally funded from 100%, all of it, 100% of it was governmentally funded, which is why they don't care about turning a profit, which is why they can have, 20 people playing at its best and be perfectly fine with it. It's because they didn't make the game to make money. The making money is just extra. They already got paid. The developers already got paid. Everybody's fine. Everybody's happy. They got their money back because they got paid to do it, right? So it's governmental propaganda. That's all it is. And this is no different. This is no different. So let's go back. Let's watch the whole thing. We got another half to go.
Happening. The Doge team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books. And this president and his team are making decisions across the board on, do these receipts serve the interests of the American people? Is this a good use of the American taxpayers' money? If it is not, that funding will no longer be sent abroad, and American taxpayers will see significant savings because of that effort.
Fucking base, bro. Fucking base. Can I get a cheer for that? Fucking base. So again, it's not just Politico. Obviously, there is a ton of companies out there that are being subsidized by governmental grants, money, whatever, and they're going through everything. And this is why it would shock people. I think it would honestly shock people if they knew just how much money gets wasted by the government every single day. And I'm sure people think to themselves, oh yeah, I already know that, right? But you really don't know. Like, you really don't fucking know just how bad it actually gets when it comes to the government wasting your money. So anyway, let's talk about the Gamergate part of it, because that's the most important part for us. Obviously, it's the most connected part. So this funding bombshell was highlighted by ex-user Anner Seldane, who pointed out that Politico has published multiple articles related to Gamergate, consistently framing it as disinformation and harassment campaign while pushing narratives about diversity in gaming. A search for Gamergate on Politico returns 22 different articles. And again, this is why the climate is totally different between Gamergate 1 and Gamergate 2, because they held all of the cards in Gamergate 1. It was not a fair fight. It was not a fair battleground. They held all the cards. So what ends up happening is, of course, if they hold all the cards, people are going to start believing the narrative of what they were trying to spin in Gamergate 1. Well, now we're here in Gamergate 2. You're seeing all the melting down. You're seeing all the job losses. You're seeing people freak out, and it's because they don't have control over the narrative anymore. They just don't have control over the narrative anymore. So now they don't know what to do. So now their backs are against the wall, and they're trying to figure out what the hell to do. Right? This is why they're trying to come up with different ways to combat things and whatnot. But at the end of the day, man, this is a totally different playing field. Completely different. So let's scroll down really quick. Actually, hold on. I want to show this really fast. Let me try to bring it up. That way we could get an idea of what exactly we're dealing with here. Give me 1 second. All right. So people have wondered if our tax dollars were used to promote wokeness in video games, and the answer is yes. U.S. aid paid Politico millions per year to write pieces like this one, which promotes diversity and describes Gamergate as disinformation and harassment. All right, so this is like an article piece, I guess, from Politico.com. Let's see what it says. It says the status handoff of Washington's most famous gamer from a libertarian-leaning white man to two millennial socialist women of color is, in some ways, the perfect summation of how video games have changed in recent years. Video games were never really the exclusive province of white male owners, but that's been the stereotype. Oh, so you admit that it's been a diverse place since day one. You admit, this article admits that gaming has been a diverse place since day one, and the whole nonsense about, oh, it's just straight white males, that's just a stereotype. That's interesting. That's very interesting. And some players took the reputation seriously, so much so that they organized the backlash to try to protect it. No, this is the bullshit that Politico was posting years ago. 6 years ago, a disinformation campaign with the profoundly stupid name of Gamergate spent several months orchestrating a series of harassment campaigns of women game developers and critics. Several women fled their homes in fear for their safety. Who did that? Who did that? By the way, guys, we passed over 1,000 viewers again. This is like 2 weeks in a row now. Thank you guys so much. You're fucking legends. Who left their homes? I want to know who left their homes, because I don't remember anybody leaving their homes. The harassers' motivation to drive people they dubbed social justice warriors for their progressive values and their desire to see more realistic depictions of women and minorities in video games out of the industry. The campaign worked well enough that Steve Bannon, as reported in Joshua Green's Devil's Bargain, used it as a template for Trump's presidential campaign. So disinformation, harassment, blah, blah. Oh, here we go. But Gamergate also prompted a backlash to the backlash. It didn't stop the thing. It set out to stop. Chris Plant, the editor-in-chief of Polygon, said to me today of Gamergate, if anything, it made it go faster. And so in 2020, no one is surprised that 2 30-something progressive women play video games. Again, I don't understand. People have understood this since the beginning. The gaming landscape has been diverse since the beginning. Have you ever been to a fighting tournament? Have you guys ever been to a fighting tournament, or just like not partaked in one, but like seen one? If you go to a fighting tournament, you're going to see more diversity than probably anywhere else. Seriously. You're going to see more diversity most likely at a fighting tournament than almost anywhere else in gaming. You got Asians, you got blacks, you got whites, you got spics, you got everybody there partaking in the same thing, kicking each other's ass. That's literally all it is. Kicking each other's ass. Racism goes away in a fighting tournament. That's literally all it is. So anybody has ever been to one and seen one or whatever, seriously, I mean, you got to be out of your fucking mind to think that it's not super diverse in the gaming industry. It's so stupid. Anyway, games have always been big and diverse, as disparate as TV and books and movies. They are played and made by people who just want to zone out with some dumb entertainment, and by people who want to expand their horizons with something strange or sublime. No one person represents them. Video games don't belong to a 31-year-old New Yorican woman any more than they belong to reactionary Reddit. Okay, I don't understand. So I agree that the gaming landscape has been super diverse since the dawn of time. So then why are you trying to push this narrative that it's straight white males trying to take over the gaming industry? I don't understand. Why then the push for all this fake diversity bullshit when it's already been diverse since the beginning? If you're admitting that diversity has been around since the dawn of gaming, then why are we sitting here trying to fake it as if it wasn't? I don't get that. I just don't get that. Anyway, this is what Politico was writing many years ago. So now let's go back here. Scroll down a little bit. Wait, scroll down even more. So again, the Doge team, short for Department of Government Efficiency, is led by Elon Musk and has been tasked with eliminating wasteful spending in federal contracts. President Donald Trump commented on this controversy on his Truth Social platform. Here's what he said. Looks like billions of dollars. You know what's funny about Trump's tweets? Is that you could look at a tweet from Trump and you'll know that he wrote that shit, or at least that he said it, and then his secretary wrote it for him. Because, bro, like all caps, this is such a stark difference from Joe Biden's bullshit tweets that he will never be coherent enough to actually tweet out. So that's what I could appreciate. At least you know it's him. It's like, bro, stop yelling. Stop yelling in all caps. Anyway, looks like billions of dollars have been stolen. Oh, damn, he misspelled stolen. That's bad. Stolen at USAID and other agencies, much of it going to the fake news media as the payoff for creating good stories about the Democrats. The left-wing rag known as Politico seems to have received $8 million. Did the New York Times receive money? Who else did? This could be the biggest scandal of them all, perhaps the biggest in history. The Democrats can't hide from this one. Too big, too dirty. So it definitely was him that wrote this then. It definitely was him that wrote this. This is very interesting. And again, guys, I like the fact that Doge is actually looking into this. And I got to imagine once you start following the money, once you really start diving deep and looking through history and looking through the money, I think you're going to find a lot of interesting things. I really do, especially on the gaming side of things. Again, we're not even talking about the political side of things. We're talking about the gaming side of things. You're going to find a lot of interesting things that happen not only in the past, but are continuing to happen now in the present. I really do believe that. Guys, keep liking the stream. The goal is 1,000 likes. If we can hit it, keep liking. We're at 620 or something like that right now. We got plenty of time. And then let's read this last part. So for years, Politico has aligned itself with activist gaming journalists who push woke narratives under the guise of combating toxicity. Their extensive coverage of Gamergate framed gamers as reactionary extremists rather than addressing the legitimate concerns about media corruption that sparked the controversy in the first place. So again, guys, at this point, I'm happy they found this, but I want them to keep digging. Yes, we were right all along. Yes, exactly. Fenrir is 100% right. As always, we were right all along because look, anytime you hear this, where is to say it? Hold on. Anytime, how many times, guys, how many times have we heard this? Disinformation and harassment campaign. How many times have we heard this? And it's been patently false, right? Every single time it's been proven to be false, whether it's 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, 5 years later, it always ends up being false when they use words like disinformation, harassment campaign, all of this nonsense, all the fucking time. All the time, which is what the reason why the moment I see someone say that is from an official source, I immediately am sus of it. I'm immediately sus of it. And it's funny because this is not the only thing that has come out and destroyed the narrative that was surrounding Gamergate so many years ago. There's been other things that have been exposed from the people who were part of Gamergate the first time that it just completely has destroyed the narrative at this point. So now we're in Gamergate 2. Obviously, I believe it's still going, even though we're all fighting, which is fine. But I believe it's still going. And at the end of the day, they are losing really bad. They are losing tremendously bad. And at this point, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do to try to, I guess, gain some ground, because the amount of L's that they've been taking lately, it's been very detrimental to them. It's been heavily, heavily detrimental to them. So, but I'm happy they found it. I just want them to keep going. Keep going. Doge, keep going. Keep digging. Don't stop digging. Dig for the entire 4 years. For the entire 4 years, keep digging.